Real estate is one of the simplest ways to build long-term wealth, and one of the easiest ways to get wrecked if you don't know what you're doing. So this show, it exists for one main reason: clarity. Me and Keith, we're talking deals, markets, financing, flips, all of it, but always through the lens of what's working, what isn't working, and why. I'm your host, Dayton Lindsey, and I promise you that this podcast is going to help you save time, money, and you from painful lessons. So, let's get into this. You know what? No intro. We're just going to start off with questions.
Okay.
Keith, what credit?
Welcome.
No, not even no welcome. What credit / DTI issues block investors the most? And how do you work around them?
Oh,
And now,
so easy.
yeah, and explain what DTI is, because I don't
Cool.
know. I should have researched that before, but I did not.
Let's see how good I am with my acronyms. I had to look up two of them from last episode. I know this one though. That's your debt to income ratio. So this is how, let's say, golly. So I hate to even admit this, but I'm going to admit this on live recording here. That's going to go on YouTube. At one point last year, I had so much money on credit cards that my monthly payment was almost $4,000. Minimum monthly payment.
That's like my credit limit on one.
So every month,
My conservative one.
every month we were shelling out $4,000 just to pay the minimum monthly payment. All of this debt has been wiped out, by the way, since then. But that would hold somebody back from buying a loan. So basically, when you go for a loan, I don't know what the number is. I think it's 43%. They want to ensure that the monthly payment is less than 43% of whatever you're making as your average income. So if you're making, for example, $6,000 per month, and you have a mortgage of $3,000 per month, that's 50. That's 50% DTI. So that's not going to fly. And maybe I should look up. Again, this is not. What is the max DTI? Yeah, no, I'm about right here. VA loans. Oh, here's another thing about VA loans. VA loans allow you to go all the way up to 60. FHA loans will let you go to 50. But most loans, what I just said a little bit ago, is absolutely correct. I said 40, 43. Because that's the max of like acceptable. Typically, they're actually going to consider like 35, 36, 38. Like that, you're going to get approved if you're in the 30s. As soon as you get into the 40s, they don't really like that. And then I, oddly enough, did remember correctly that my lender, as we were trying to buy a house last year, they didn't like the fact, let's just say that they didn't like the fact that I had $4,000. That's why we wiped it all out. I was holding all this debt on credit cards. They're like, there's no freaking way. How can you even pay for your credit cards? And then when they look at my taxes, right, and I have all these write-offs on my taxes, it looks like I can't even afford to live in a van under a bridge, much less have a nice house and pay all this money on my credit cards. So anyway, that's a tax thing. But debt to income ratio, that's when this is different than what most investors are going to do. What most investors do is called asset-backed lending. So it's based on the credibility of the asset itself. Rather than looking at DTI, they're going to look at LTV, which stands to loan to value. So if the house is valued at $500,000 and you're only borrowing $300,000, you're at 60% loan to value. They don't really care about DTI because you're not going to stay there for 30 years. You're literally intending on one of two things. Like maybe you're buying this for cash flow. Well, if you're going to hold on to it for 30 years, but you have a tenant, they don't care about your debt to income ratio because your tenant is paying off the mortgage. Similarly, I shouldn't say similarly, like it's almost conversely. if I'm going to balloon out of this house, meaning I'm going to sell the house, I'm going to fix and flip it in 12 months. Again, you don't care about my DTI. You care when I sell this house, am I going to make money? Because if so, if I'm going to make money, then obviously the bank has to get paid back first. They're in first lien position. And so same numbers, 500,000 is what the house is worth. I'm only borrowing 300,000. That's loan to value of 60%. There's potentially going to be no monthly payments from the hard money lender. Maybe they're going to wrap that into the loan. Maybe they are going to require minimum payments, but they're only going to require that I have 6 months in reserves. So if the monthly payments are $3,000 per month, 3 times 6 is 18. If I have $20,000 in my checking account, hey, we're clear to close, because they know that I'm going to be able to make the monthly payment. They're not too focused on what is my debt to income ratio, because they realize that this isn't my personal residence. The DTI is really meant for conventional loans, FHA loans, VA loans, USDA loans. Not even, we were talking about commercial loans in the last episode, but it's mainly going to be for what we call owner-occupied loans.
Oh, okay.
I'm living in the house that I'm borrowing on.
Okay. Is there any scenario where, because you went through the DSCR loan and the conventional loan, is there any loan where that would be more of a problem than the ones you just listed?
DTI?
Yeah.
Yeah, because VA loans let you go like obtusely high. I don't know why they do this, but they'll let you go like up to 60% of your DTI. If I have 1,000, if I'm 100%, I don't know what 100% disabled vets make. Good money though. It's like $4,000 or something like this. If I'm 100% disabled and I have Social Security coming in, then let's call that like 4,000 for being 100% disabled, 2,000 from Social Security, so that's $6,000 coming into my wife doesn't work. I'm 70 years old, right? I have set $6,000 coming in to the bank. 6,000 times 0.6 is 3,600. I could get a mortgage. This is crazy to me. I don't like this, but they will allow that mortgage payment to be $3,600, which
Really?
is crazy high. I don't know if anything goes wrong with that house. Like deferred maintenance is going to happen rather than it getting fixed. You're just going to live with whatever thing is going wrong. So it's going to be less of an issue with DTI is going to be less of an issue with VA loans. It's going to be a little bit more of an issue with FHA loans, because instead of 60%, it's 50%, but that's still way higher than the 35, 36, 38, max 43 that they allow you with FHA and conventional loans.
Okay. How do you structure your financing plans for different properties you're interested in?
I like to reverse engineer what my plan is. And I mean, it's pretty easy. I just choose whichever one makes me more money. So, for example, oh, dude, it's so interesting that you asked me that question. Here, on my desk, I literally have 3 documents signed and notarized. I have an acknowledgement, an in-house refinancing agreement, backed by, I think there might be some, maybe I shouldn't be holding this up, but
Well, we'll have to black out the entire side of your screen in the editing process.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold these up. There's like, y'all are just going to have to believe me that I have, oh, you know what I could do? Here we go. I have 3 documents: acknowledgement, an in-house refinance agreement, a mortgage note, and a promissory note. And the reason why is because I took out a loan from one of my lenders, private money lending. And I paid him 12% because it was supposed to be short-term financing. So it was a 1-year loan, no prepayment penalties, no monthly payments. We're just going to roll the interest in, and when I sell it, he gets paid. I love these type of loans. Super easy on me. He doesn't care about any of this stuff. DTI, he does care about loan to value. But after I fixed up the house, I said, you know what? I'd like to keep this house. This isn't a very strong rental area. I believe that houses are going to appreciate about 50% over the next 2 years. And I wonder if this gentleman is good with turning this into a long-term loan. So I had a meeting with him last year, and I said, hey, we have this at 12%, no interest payments. I haven't made a monthly payment to you for a year. I will list it if you need me to, but it would just be to appease you. I'm not actually going to sell it. I'm either going to balloon you out with a DSCR lender, or I would like to renegotiate these terms. And he goes, well, I'm old. I don't have that much longer to live. If you're interested in a 30-year mortgage, no can do. I said, well, how much longer do you think you're going to live? He goes, I don't know. I've probably got another 10 in me, 10 years. Great. Let me crunch the numbers really quick. I plugged in 10 years as my amortization schedule, as my term, and it worked out to $508, if I'm not mistaken. $508.36. I borrowed $41,904 at 8% with a 10-year AM. My payments are $500 per month. Well, I'm renting it for $1,650. My mortgage payment is $500. Really good.
That is really good cash flow.
I cash flow almost $1,000 per month on this house. So right now I don't have a tenant because I just kicked her out a couple days ago, but it's being listed for rent tomorrow. So we're back in the game, hopefully, real soon. And you should always, so going back to answering your question, how do you determine these loan types? Well, it depends on what my exit strategy is. At the time, I thought I was going to flip it. So I just got a private money loan because it was a small amount, right? I think I borrowed like $36,000 or something like that. Now we're at 41. Would that make sense? Yeah, $42,000, 36. Yeah, I think I borrowed like $36,000. It accrued at 12% interest for a year. And I said, Don, I need to balloon you out or refinance with a longer amortization. Happy to get you 8%. He said, sure, I'm good. I'm good with that. He's locked in at 8%, which is historically, this is stock market growth with none of the stock market risk. Well, as an elderly man, he's excited about taking the full advantage of the stock market growth with none of the downside that it has. That's risk to him. And when you're older, you don't
you really don't want that risk when you're older. Absolutely not.
Super safe for him because I've borrowed, I keep forgetting the number, basically $42,000 on a house that's worth like $120,000, $130,000.
Okay.
So the loan to value is like, I don't know, 35% or something like that. I mean, it's crazy good. And if you were to look at the DSCR ratio, renting it out for $1,650, my mortgage is $508. This is great. This is great. So reverse engineer. Let me give you a different example. Well, had I known that I was not going to sell the house, I would have just probably skipped the private money from the beginning, or I would have just gone straight to a long-term private money. Because here's the crappy part about this. DSCR lenders, they're not going to lend me $40,000.
No.
They're small. It's not enough money for them.
Quick aside, if you're getting value out of this, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below with what you want Keith and me to cover next. It helps the channel out a lot, and it tells us what you want to learn about. Anyways, back to the video.
So I would basically be pocketing $40,000 cash in my checking account. But it's not profit, it's debt. And then my monthly payment is going to be twice as high because I've borrowed twice as much money.
Yeah.
And now instead of cash flowing $1,000, I'm only going to cash flow less than $500. It's going to totally eat into my cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah, that would not be good. And would that that would also have the you'd still also need to pay out stuff like utilities, wouldn't you? With that remaining like 400 or
It's funny that you say that. The answer to that is no. Typically, you have your tenants, your renters, take care of the utilities for whatever stupid reason.
Usually included in the rent, but I wanted to ask this question because
no, it's not. No, most of the time here in the States, it's not. Utilities are not included in the rent. Only if you're in like a dorm style sort of thing where they're like, hey, everything's included. Your water's taken care of, your electricity is taken care of, your trash is taken care of, your internet is taken care of. That's kind of only done in like dorm style environments or maybe like entry apartments, and they make a killing on that, right? Because they add like a large buffer. Like there's no way this person is going to use more than $200 of water, so we're going to charge them realistically, they're probably averaging like $60 or $70 of water.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what people charge because I don't do that, but there has to be some margin so that they're safe. And until most of the time, utilities are not included. Now, there are some weird cities that do actually require you as the landlord to pay for the utilities. For example, in the city of Syracuse, I have to pay for the water. Don't know why I can't put that on the tenant, but every month I get a bill for like $35, $45 for the water that they're using. I don't really care that much because it's small. I've just factored that into my deal analyzer of me paying for the water utilities. But she takes care of everything else. She takes care of the gas. She takes care of the electric. She takes care of the trash. She takes care of blah, 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 all that stuff. Internet. The only thing that I'm on the hook for is the water for whatever reason.
Interesting. Yeah, that's pretty common in here in Canada where just a lot of the stuff is included in the rent. That's interesting.
I don't like it.
Canada's housing market or yours?
No, I don't like charging for variables. Charging a set amount for variables. It's either going to be unfair to one party or the other. I'd rather just be like, hey, here's your rent, and then whatever the bill is, that's what you're paying. But then nobody wants this moving target. They never know what they're going to end up paying. That's why the whole, everything is all lumped in together came about, because at least they have certainty of how much their housing is going to cost them.
Yeah. All right. Last question I have for you. And I probably should have asked this one a couple episodes back, but let's hear now. How do you build a rehab scope of work that contractors can interpret correctly? Like the simplest.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that people are going to hate me in the comments. The majority of contractors that you work with, let's just call them simple-minded folks. Okay? There is no more blue-collar job than a handyman.
True.
I feel like I have a license to say this, doing renovations in 2/3 of the United States. I've dealt with my fair share of contractors. They don't like anything that's complicated. Anything with words, they can barely read, some of them. They're like, you flunked out of high school, what are you going to do? You're going to pass the ASVAB and you're going to join the military, or you're going to go be a construction worker. Like, I don't know what to tell you. The simpler, the better. And so I have simplified this so much, and I have enabled so much. I could share this. I wonder it's going to be weird to do in a podcast episode, but if you're listening, you're missing out. Scope of work. Let's just find one scope of work. Cool. So I'll share my screen here for anybody who's watching on YouTube or whatever. This is an older scope of work on a condo I renovated. Share screen, entire screen. Cool. So here's the front page. This is kind of a summary of the entire scope of work, what we're doing, how much the material, the labor, and total is. And here's all the subcontractors that are working on it. For the windows, this is what we're going to do. This is how much it's going to cost in labor. This is how much it's going to cost in material. For demo, this is what we're going to do. This is how much it's going to cost in labor. For painting, let's go ahead and zoom in a smidge. For painting, the ceilings, we're going to go with Sherwin-Williams. This description, extra white, super paint, 5-gallon. We're going to get one of them at cost at the time, $266.94. The paint code is 7006, and it's at Sherwin-Williams. For the living, dining halls, laundry, kitchen, and bedrooms, also Sherwin-Williams, but it's going to be this neutral ground super paint, 5 gallons. We're going to get 2 of them, so 10 gallons. It's $533. The paint code is 7568 at Sherwin-Williams. Then all trim and interior doors, the front door, the safety stairwell. In the kitchen, here's everything that we're getting. Freezer, dishwasher, range. I mean, I go into the range is going to be a Whirlpool, 4.8 cubic foot, smooth surface, self-cleaning, slide-in electric range. It's going to be stainless steel. We're going to get one of them. It's $12.99. Here's the model number. The store is LW, which is Lowe's. HD is Home Depot. The unit is each. I need you to make sure it is this exact one, because if you're getting a stove, it has to fit in your cabinetry, right? It can't be bigger or smaller. You don't want gaps. It needs to be exactly fit. So the width is this big, the length, the depth. The item is this, and then I have no idea. Look at that. It still works.
The link to the exact item you wanted.
I have made this stupid proof. Y'all, this is the exact fridge that I put in that condo. You could go back and look at the photos. And this, I don't know why I said fridge. This is the stove. This is the exact one that I put in. Shucks, it looks like they're out of, they no longer sell it. There's no like price or anything. That's weird. But, I mean, I go to a painstaking process of like putting everything in here. Bathroom. Here's the exact toilet. Here's the exact bathtub. Here's the exact countertop. So on and so forth. Laundry, bedrooms, flooring, doors, down to literally the doorknob, down to literally the hardware, the lanai, the plumbing, every piece of plumbing that we were putting in, kitchen faucet, garbage disposal, dishwasher, freezer, and refrigerator. You're like, the fridge is not plumbing? No, it has one line of tubing that goes in, for your ice and for your water.
Maker? Yeah.
Toilet, sink faucet, rain shower head, shower faucet, trim kit, shower valve, bathtub, washer, dryer, hot water heater. Electric. We were doing things with electric, putting in a new exhaust fan in the bathroom, vanity lighting, ceiling fan, flush mounted light, chandelier. So what I did was, you can see, I grouped things by rooms, kitchen, bathroom, laundry.
Yeah, down at the bottom there.
And then I separated it by like a painter. Like, we're going to have one dude who's doing all the painting. We're going to have one dude who does all the flooring. The handyman's going to do the doors, for example. We're going to have a plumber, a licensed plumber. We're going to have a licensed electrician that are tradesmen that do these things. And again, all those people are put right here. Here's our electrician. Here's our tile, blah, 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 blah. Staging, photography, plumbing, everything. When you give them a scope of work that looks like this, it is literally impossible to screw up. I have handed everything to you on a silver platter. A freaking 12-year-old child can click on the links go through Home Depot and ask for help, of course, and get all the materials correctly the first time because I provided all the information that's needed. On huge renovations, we'll even go so far as to say, here's the, what's the contingency? Here's the contingency item. Like if they're out of stock on this, then do this. Because that's a real thing. Whenever you're doing like high volume or there's not very many stores, like where I live here, there's literally a Home Depot about 8 minutes south of me, and there's a Home Depot 9 minutes north of me. So if one of them's out of stock, I'm just going to go to the next one. And if that one's out of stock, about 23 minutes, 24 minutes north of that one, I've got another Home Depot. Like I'm good where I am. The rest of the country, they don't have that luxury. They don't have Home Depots every 15 minutes on the highway. So
I don't even have one any half hour.
Right? when something is out of stock, you should have a contingency replacement item. What if? And so we'll build those out in certain circumstances. Like we'll look before we do a deal. We'll look and see how many Home Depots are in what range, and how many Lowe's, how many Sherwin-Williams, so on and so forth. And when we build out that scope of work, man, it takes a long time. That's about a week's worth of work. What I just showed you all on that screen, that took about a week to come up with. But I'll tell you this, it is well worth it, and it will save you way more than a week during the renovation and so much headache, and time is money. So if you're wasting time, you're burning money, you're burning dollars. And because it saves you time and headache, it will also make you more money. I made more than $100,000 on that house. You can go look at public record. We cleared 125 on this.
Nice. Very nice. And that kind of brings me back to the saying, Alex, pretty sure it was Alex Hormozy that says, simple scales, complex fails.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So, and especially in the military too, going into your background, that simplicity is, it was from Jocko Willink's Leadership.
Keep it simple, stupid. That comes from the military as well.
That comes from the military. It was I'm forgetting. It was from Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership. Oh, I'm forgetting it, but it was if you can't clearly explain it like a 5-year-old or something, it's too complex to.
Oh, he's quoting Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein says, if you can't say it in a sentence, you don't know it well enough.
It wasn't exactly that, but that's basically the idea. That's basically the idea. If you can't explain it, then you don't know it. So, but yeah.
Yeah, the more simple you can provide. Here's the thing: is it's not simple for us to do that. That takes that takes research. It's very detailed. It's extremely detailed. I can't do that. I didn't build that scope of work. Mel built it. Our project manager built that whole entire scope of work. I trained him on how to do it, and I did it in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Man, oh man, the attention to detail that it takes to go over every single one of those things and make sure that it's perfect. Not my cup of tea. But the simplicity of receiving this packet, because each one of those we print out and we give the full packet to every single contractor, and we post a full packet in an envelope on every job site. Well, why do we do that? If a contractor, why does the electrician care what the plumber's doing? So that he doesn't electrocute him.
Yep. Exactly. You don't want lines crossing over too closely either. Yeah. Or at least like bad insulation on there.
Why would the I don't know, what's another one? Why would the painters care about the floor guys? Well, because I would sure hate to put down floor and then paint over it and put paint down, or have to buy a billion drop cloths to make sure that I don't get paint first. Paint first. Yeah. If it gets on the cement, because we haven't put floor down yet, if it gets on the cement, who cares? We're gonna put not dry lock. That's what's that? Vapor barrier underneath. We're gonna put a pad down. And we're gonna put LVP on top of it. Like, we don't care if there's a couple drops of paint, and you can scrape it off if you really did care. We don't. So there's like an order of operation, and everyone should know this is the full scope of work that's going to be occurring over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. Let's make sure that everybody is looped in. Mm-hmm. Make sure that we're communicating. And I expect, these people have never worked together, potentially. But I don't care. On my job site, y'all are going to be working together. There needs to be communication because we need to move quickly. We need to move with speed and intensity.
Yep.
Simplicity is everything with that.
And time is money. Keith, you've been great. We've reached our time again.
Thanks, bro.
And
Good question.
I hope everyone watching has enjoyed listening to everything that Keith has said on this episode. But until next time, everyone, we will keep you in our minds.
Have a good one. Signing off.
Real estate isn't magic, it's a skill. And the people who win long term are the ones that keep stacking the reps. That means learning, analyzing, staying patient, and making good decisions. If you want to keep building that skill with us, make sure to subscribe and send this to someone who needs to hear it, because I know you know someone that needs to. Anyways, that's all for today. Take care.